hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush aamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Khair agale, ni hao, churashume, washmale, ohaya gonzaimas, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifahal, hale shama chatore, ahlan wasalan marhaba, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PT World and are watching World this morning, alongside the very talented, the very fabulous Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you today?
I am great, how are you? Oh, you were not well
Absolutely.
yesterday, so how
Well,
are
I
you?
wasn't really well yesterday, but I think I feel great today as
Okay.
well. And other than that, since it was raining for the last 2, 3 days,
Yeah.
it's sunny out there, and I think that I'm a bit relaxed because
I
whenever it's
know.
raining,
Yeah.
you're stressed while you're driving, while you're passing any motorbike rider,
True.
because you have to be careful about the
True.
pedestrians too as well. But other than that, everything's perfect, everything's superb, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the date is 9th of August.
Yeah.
But before we talk about what we wanted to talk about,
Yeah.
there's one public service message which I want to
Yes.
give out. And this recently happened within my family that, a lot of children, they are sick and they were hospitalized
okay.
because of typhoid, because all of them, they went outside to eat different burgers and different meals.
Okay.
And I don't think that it did something good to them as well. So please make sure especially in these days, in this weather, even if you're working out,
Yeah.
please make sure that you do not lift so many weights, because, if you get a body ache or body pain, it's never going to go. And other than that, please be very careful about the food you eat or where you eat it from. You really need to check whether it's hygienic or not.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
talking about 9th of August, 14th of August is
it's
just going to be around the corner.
Yes,
So,
that's
what
what
are
I
your
was
plans for 14th of August?
My plans are obviously we're going to have a show, on the
Yes,
same day. We're
yes.
going to have probably a very long transmission for that, and so excited for that, to be honest. Other than that, I have to take my sisters out for probably a movie, and I'm hoping that it's a patriotic one. I don't know what they're going to choose.
Oh my God! I mean, I really expected it to be different, because for me, I mean, it's like something which has to do with an Avara Londa, so something of that. So, for example,
Okay.
because I know that Blue area will be filled with cars,
Okay.
there'll be bikes without silencers, and then there'll be fireworks from the
Yeah.
Prime Minister house too as well. So I think that's a sight to witness. And for all those people who are out there, there's one thing which I want to say, and that is that your limit ends where your nose ends too as well. Because I've witnessed it, I've been doing it since I was living in Islamabad. So people throw these fireworks into other people's car too as well. So
okay.
please don't do that, and it can hurt someone, and you can bring quite a lot of damage to them.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. Stay within your limits and enjoy yourselves.
Well,
Be
this reminds me of a
Pakistani.
story where I have to mention so that you guys are more careful.
Yeah.
So every 13th of August, obviously in the night, there are fireworks at a colony where I live.
Wow.
And so the young boys who are very enthusiastic about such occasions, they, accidentally probably threw a firecracker at someone's place in a balcony, okay? And the room's window was open and the curtain got fire. For some, I don't know how though, and it did. There was no damage although, but the curtains and the fabric actually of the room was burnt. So be careful, because we were safe, everybody was safe back there, but you're not sure if you're safe, if it happens to you. So
Exactly.
stay safe for yourself and for your surroundings.
Exactly, but there's one question which I need to ask, since you were talking about boys. I think that their boys are only young. So how come you said young boys too as well?
Well, I meant teenagers. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, it happens. It's a slip of tongue as well. I've mentioned it quite a lot of times that young kids are over here in the studios, which I know is wrong, but it comes out just like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, let's take a look at what's happening within Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, because we've gathered top stories from Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf
Most of
and
them,
about the
yes.
chairman of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf as well. Let's go. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look. The PTI chairman Imran Khan says his party wanted to build relationship with the US based on trust and mutual respect, and the government will engage with the US to make this relationship more balanced and trustworthy. Fingers crossed.
Great initiatives for Prime Minister-elect. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani telephones PTI chief Imran Khan, expresses his wish to further cement and increase relations between two countries.
And also in similar news, PTI chief Imran Khan nominates Mahmood Khan from Swat for the slot of Chief Minister Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. That is great. Congratulations to Mahmood Khan.
Congratulations. The family must be very happy.
I
Imagine getting a news one day, Shiza, that your father has been elected, or probably, he's been nominated to be the chief minister of any other province. How would you feel?
I would be so super. I would be over the moon, obviously. I'll be so proud of him. But anyway, that thing aside. First thing I have to ask you before we introduce the show,
go ahead.
what we're talking about is, so I'm pretty sure you're very outgoing, you love going to places,
Yeah.
you love discovering places. So whenever you go to a restaurant or probably, anywhere, what's the first thing that attracts you?
Okay, so I mean, there are different notions to it. For example, when I enter, God forbid, if I enter a hospital,
Okay.
so the first thing which you do not even have to notice is the smell. And I
True,
think
yes.
it plays a very important role. But other than that, if I go to a restaurant or anybody's house, I think the first thing I'll look for is the interiors. And,
Okay.
there's this one amazing restaurant where I love to have this garlic mushroom toast. Everybody would know which restaurant it
Yeah.
is. I love the interiors. They've done it in such a great way where even at night you can get breakfast. That's a
Yeah.
different story because I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
But other than that, the ambience actually kind of coincides with your mood too as well.
Yes,
You do
true,
not
true.
feel different, you feel at home, and I think that's the successful part of the restaurant too as well, that whenever you go, you'll feel at home. That's the kind of interior they have. Because
True.
other than that, there are a few restaurants where you go, they've got these high back chairs as well. When you sit, you're not comfortable
That
because
is
we
true.
Pakistanis have a habit of leaning back too as well.
Yes.
So imagine being in a seat like this and eating. It's just hard.
No,
I
but
think
that's true because when you're going out for your leisure time, of course you're expecting some comfort, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to have a bad time. But the answer you gave, that is what actually I was looking for, you guys. Today we're talking about interior designing of different places.
Yeah.
There's actually a science to spaces as well. There's a science to colors as well, and this is what we're going to discover and talk about. Should we introduce our guests?
Yeah, I think we can introduce, but before we introduce, there's just one more thing,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen. It is just like, for example, putting an aquarium, but there's no fish in it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a glass box. That's how it is. When people and the interior design have got a connection, it has an impact on you psychologically too as well. The colors play a role, and either they can probably uplift your mood, or probably they can make you feel another way as well. So, there's
Yeah.
different chemistry to black color, the people related with evil and whatnot. For me, there are only two colors,
Yeah.
white and black, and that's
Really?
it. There's no other color which I like
Well,
in
we
this
do
world.
wear a lot of black though.
Yeah, and I do wear a lot of black, and I do drive a lot of white. That's how it is.
No, but before we introduce the guests, since you have a family, I have to ask you a question.
Yeah,
This
go
is
ahead.
probably not related to this, but are you the decision maker in terms of decoration in your house?
Well, I'm not even the decision maker in what I wear, so you can imagine what goes around comes around too as well. But these are the things, ladies and gentlemen, which we'll be asking. We'll ask them about a few quick tips as well. For
Yes.
example, if there's somebody who just recently moved into their houses, what they can do, whether hiring an interior designer is expensive or not, whether they help you in saving cost or not. And alongside that, there are a few interior designers who would love to work with different sculptors as well, and then painters, and then other people as well. Because all of them, when they come together, they make a team,
Yeah.
and that's when they make things look beautiful as well. So on my right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, I've been joined by a proud interior designer. She's none other than Miss Nadia Sajjad. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you very much for joining us. Alongside Miss Nadia, we've been joined by, once again, an interior designer. She's none other than Miss Zahra Aziz. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm good. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much for joining us. Alongside Ms. Zahra Aziz, we have been joined by somebody who's a sculptor himself. He's none other than Mr. Shujaullah Yasir. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hello, how are you?
You've got a naughty smile, I might tell you. Thank you very much for joining us. And alongside Mr. Shuja, we have been joined by his other half as well. She's none other than Miss Ifa Shuja, and she's an interior designer. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining us. And I will let Shiza start the
Yes.
conversation.
Now, because you guys are a team, Ms. Ifat and Mr. Shuja, so the
Yeah.
first question is going to be from you guys, of course. You are a sculptor and you happen to be an interior designer. How are these things related? I do get it if a restaurant or probably a person comes to you for their home decoration or something. They do look for something fancy, in terms of maybe a very good sculpture or chandelier. But people who are not looking for something, do you force him into it? Do you often make, way for his work?
It actually depends on the client.
Okay.
If the client wants to, because it costs a lot of effort and finances, of course.
Okay.
So it depends on the client. If they want to be like grand or something, so then they can. Then I do push them.
Okay. And do you enjoy doing it?
Yeah, it's like we give them suggestions.
Okay.
Like if we feel there should be a piece वहाँ पे होना चाहिए कोई इस तरह का, तो वो हम उनको गाइड कर देते हैं, बता देते हैं, और फिर mutually we tell them to.
But in the end, the clients are the decision makers. You guys only suggest, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Well,
Moving
that's
to-
something which I wanted to ask as well, because not, all the time clients are not right, and what you have to do is that you have
Most
to
of the time.
convince them or there's a lot of perseverance which goes into it, that okay, this is what we want you to do. So how many times for you, Miss Nadia, do you think that you actually have to counsel them and you have to tell them that what I'm trying to say over here is right, and what you're trying to do or experiment is going to be a disaster?
Yeah, we have to tell them, but we have to give them priority to their needs, and we just can't push them and impose our design to them. It's give them first priority to their psychology, and we have to be a bit of a mind reader, and we have to read their mind a bit, what they want. But we just cannot push them to buy this and buy this expensive stuff, and we have to look on the budget he or she have. But certainly give them first priority to their choices and their lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, Ms. Zara, I overheard you speaking to someone, and you said you're an architecture by
Architect.
Yes.
Yeah.
by profession. Okay.
Yeah.
Are these the two things related?
Yes, because you're doing the interiors and architecture as well. And these days, because building costs are high, so there are a lot of there's a lot more interior design work. There's a lot more renovation work happening, and architects are doing these projects. They are doing the interiors because you're designing the outer shell as well as the interior.
Okay,
Yes.
so when a client comes to you,
Yeah.
they're sort of putting their trust into you because it's their home. That's the place they're going to be most of the time in a day.
True.
But they want you to decorate it for them. So is it like a big responsibility? Is it also a big pressure that if you get it right, if you get it wrong?
Definitely, because interior is something that you are interacting with on a daily basis, every minute of the day. So if anything goes wrong, you would be experiencing it every day and every minute. So, and you will be probably be blaming the interior designer for the mistake.
Okay.
So it's very important to understand what the client is like, what his personality is like. What are they comfortable with, what are they uncomfortable with, and then designing a solution according to that.
Okay, so then this brings me to a point where I want to ask you, for example, since you're an architect too as well, and then you were an interior designer. Now, what I would love to ask, and what I want you to tell other people is that, for example, when we hire an architect to design the exterior of the house, how important it is to have in your head that how the interior is going to work side by side. Because over here what happens is that we construct first and then we call in the interior designers that okay, this is what we want you to do. So is there lesser space to play with, or there's greater space or to play with when you're actually constructing, while having in your head that okay, this is how the interior is going to work? So do you need to have it planned?
Yes, actually just like you say that you don't judge a book by its cover, you can't develop the outside without developing the inside first. So it's teamwork from day one with the interior designer, the architect, all the other members related to the design and construction, and the client sit together and decide what the inside is going to be like. And then the outside is a reflection of that. So they're both going side by side.
Because I think I've witnessed this in my life too as well, that the houses from outside will look bizarre, but as soon as you step in, they are amazing. But moving on to you, Mrs.
But this has also happened to me. The house looks very good from the outside, but the inside has been a disaster. I've actually seen some
Well, it depends on people too as well, that how what kind of cleanliness is being kept within the house as well, and it shouldn't be dusty, it should be clean and upsmart. But Mrs. Shija, moving on to you now. Now what I want you to answer is that, for example, whenever we design our houses, let's go back a few decades, probably in 1970s and 80s, where there used to be hookahs, big vases, wooden doors and all of that. How do you think that the fashion sense has transformed in relation to interior designing from 1980s to 2018?
Actually, it's ever evolving. It's going better, but it actually jumps sometimes to a clutter actually. Most of the time, when people think that they're renovating their house, sometimes they do it just make clutter in the house, a vase there and lamp there and everything. So it actually sorry, I got lost.
It's all right. How do you think that the ideas have changed? That, for example, earlier there were big vases, now people want dark wood to be in their houses.
Actually, the previous the designs, they were classic actually. They weren't and really simple, and nowadays it's really got modern, and we got actually got really we're not getting the whole of the modern things. We are just putting everything and we buying everything and putting everywhere, when thinking we are we're getting modern, but it's not going there.
So you're saying we're not technically, evolving.
It's not. We're actually way behind.
I think what she's trying to say is that it's hard for us to get our hands onto those modern products these days.
Okay.
So that's why we actually have to settle down with whatever we can get.
But Mr.
No, it's not actually in Pakistan especially. Everybody is a designer.
Okay.
Yeah.
They think that
She
they
still
like.
designs her own clothes. So.
Yeah, man.
Well, clothes we can, because it's only concern herself, na. But agar aap,
With women and clothes, it's just not women who are concerned about their clothes. I mean, it's honest.
but it's a house, people live in it, and people come, and it's a community thing.
Right.
Actually, it's not a clothing that we design for ourselves.
Exactly.
Mostly women in this actually country, they think when they are if they can design their clothes, they can design their house.
Yeah, but that's
Mostly.
false, you're saying.
That's really bad.
Okay, so now I've got 2 points. Ms. Nadi, I'm going to move on to you. And for that, so now what we see on Facebook quite a lot of times as well, there are different pages where people are joining the clan and they say that they are minimalists. And what happens in minimalists is that they do not want a lot of stuff, they just want
Yeah, I
2, 3
know,
things which are
minimize,
very necessary. Do you think that this will make a job of an interior designer difficult or easier, as in what to pick? Because if you have to pick 5 items only,
Yeah, I know.
you have to be correct, you have to be on point. But
Right.
if it's like 1,500 different things, well, you can play around with 20 different things or 30 different things.
Yeah, I know. It is different. But for my opinion, I like Victorian style. I like ornaments, and I don't go for minimalize and the Scandinavian design.
If you're in the right place, then Pakistanis love to stuff their rooms.
Do you though?
Well, I think the only thing I've got in my room is a bed, 2 side tables, and then a PlayStation and a television. That's
Well, that's, I have furniture, the basic furniture, and this only one fancy thing. It's a lamp. It's white roses. That is it. So
Wow.
I think I can say it's safe to say we're both minimalists.
But I've even got a rocking chair too as well at times.
Okay.
I sit on that and then play.
Okay, but-
how do you think Zara is going to work for you?
Yeah.
Well, I think minimalism has been there for quite a few years now, and trends are changing. So people are going more towards collaging different types of things together now. So as far as the materials are concerned, it's more about using the material in its natural form. So for example, you were saying something about wood floors.
Yes.
So you would use wood floors in their natural colors and natural textures.
We've got your work on. I think the first picture actually relates to minimalism as well.
So this is a furniture range that we've designed at our studio. And we've also manufacturing it. They're based on minimal principles, but we have a fusion of local craft infused into this furniture, and they're all designed, made, and being sold here in Islamabad and Rawalpindi.
Made in Pakistan.
Made in Pakistan,
Okay,
yes.
but as I see the pictures, I do feel like there is a pattern that you're following. So do you personally feel that you have a style of your own that you have probably observed in the work you've done?
Well, I like to mix and experiment with different styles. I wouldn't say I would have one set style at the
Okay.
moment, but I do like materials in their natural form.
Okay.
So I try to use them in their own textures and finish.
Let's just move on to Shuja Sahu.
I was about to, yeah.
Okay, if you want to go ahead.
But
go
I
ahead.
want to, so I have questions about actually sculpturing,
Yeah.
Since you are a sculptor and you've studied fine arts, right? So I have to say, especially in Pakistan, because I don't know about abroad much. So when you're venturing into arts and you think, okay, this is what I'm going to pursue as a career, it's not a very safe option, first of all, because there's no job security. And in the beginning, you're not also making a lot because people do not recognize your work, in the early stages. So how was the process for you? Did you enjoy it? And were you struggling? How was it? And how was the family's reaction towards it?
Well, it was difficult
Okay.
at first when I decided that I want to want to pursue the fine arts. The reactions were not very
Supportive.
supportive.
Okay.
So they wanted me to be a doctor or engineer or
Typical.
yeah, but I proved them wrong.
Okay.
by taking, you know, by getting less marks in my exams. So I went for the basically I joined the Hunar Kada for graphic design.
Okay.
But when I did the basic course, my interest was more into the fine arts
Okay.
and especially sculpture.
Yeah.
So it was more, I was more comfortable, you know, by experimenting, touching and, you know, making 3D objects, and I was more comfortable working with clay, and it was really very.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but that also makes me question you. What sort of orders or clients are you getting? I mean, the people I know who do not have fancy homes, I have to say, they're not usually looking for sculptures, you know, because probably have small living places, they
Yeah.
don't have a lot of space. So are you only working for museums or probably
Mostly
restaurants, hotels?
yeah, mostly for the museums.
Okay.
And yeah, but I do get you know, लोगों से जो है वो अपने उनके भी orders होते हैं जो वो
अच्छा,
लोग चाहते
personal
हैं.
orders.
Yeah,
But you know what?
Okay.
If God forbid I'm going to call you, I'm going to tell you that, you know, make 10 sculptures of my face and put in one in every room. So, you know, whoever comes in, they know that they're in my house. Okay, that's great. So, you know, in the earlier years of my life, what I witnessed was that there was these long faces people used to hang in their houses, you know, or probably small horse sculptures and things like that. How do you think that the demands of sculptures have changed over time?
Or have they?
well, it comes and goes, you know, like कभी trends जो हैं वो change होते हैं, like
For example, bell bottoms are back, right? You know, for men too as well, you know, back from 1970s. So how does it work for sculptors?
I basically मेरा जो है वो ज़्यादातर जो है portraiture में काम है, I work portraits का काम मेरा ज़्यादा है, तो उसी में मेरा जो है ना वो.
So have you also made ever a 3D life-size sculpture of someone?
Yes, of course I did.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, wow, I'd love to
Was
see that.
was he happy to see it?
Yeah.
Because once what happened, you know, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very interesting story before we
Okay.
go towards the break.
Yeah.
So once what happened, one of my fam actually sketched a picture of me.
Okay.
And she gave it to me as a present. I went back home, framed it, took it to my mother. Mom, look, you know, that's how people love me. And the first reaction I got from my mother was, oh my God, look at you. You look so horrible. Throw the picture away.
Oh God.
I was like, really? I mean, come on, man. Just baat ki to qadar honi chahiye.
Exactly. No, but that was a very sweet gesture
Yeah.
from your fan, right?
It was indeed. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go head out for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're talking about interior designing. When you guys are going to come back, we're going to ask them about quick tips for somebody who just moved into a new house.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Stay
Good
tuned.
morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for everybody who just got tuned into PTV World. You're watching World This Morning alongside Shiza Hashmi and Shazad Khan. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about interior designing.
Yes.
And we are about to give you a few quick tips about, or probably I think these quick tips will be helpful for all those people who recently moved into their houses.
Yeah.
And
And
their
are looking
wives
for-
are very picky about the house to be looking good.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do. So let's start from Nadia. Nadia, now first thing. Is it always the wives or is it always the ladies of the house who want the house to look good, or men actually take interest in that?
I think both.
All right.
Yeah, but both do the same. And
now quick tips. For example, I just moved in. All I have is the basic furniture, you know, beds and side
Yeah.
tables and sofas. How do you think I can make my house look better?
well, first I will ask your budget, how much is it, and then I'll work on that.
Well, we certainly do
Yeah.
not want to give away any budget. You know, that's the first thing. So if you're going to, well, just few quick tips, you know, for people who are out there that, you know, okay, if you've got a living room which is smaller or bigger, what to do. If a dining room is smaller or bigger, what to do, how the walls need to look, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, ask them what the choice is.
Okay,
And,
well, I'll make it easy for you. Since you've worked abroad as well, right? You've
Yeah.
decorated their homes as well.
Yeah, I
Do you
did.
think there's a difference in trends in Pakistan or other countries?
Yes, too much difference, because
In
they
terms
have
of what?
they have a very
The
small.
houses are being
very
made out
small.
of wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're very small spaces, especially in Europe and in UK also, and in Pakistan they have very large spaces, and it's easy to design anything we want. But in Europe they want old tradition,
Okay.
and they don't really go for new things like IKEA, for example. And the young generation UK they want a simple design and minimal
Right.
design,
Okay.
and the middle-aged people they design is very different. They don't want to change the tradition, and they want the same fireplace, same furniture,
Right.
which they have from their grandparents or dad. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to change it.
No, they don't want to.
Okay.
They're very specific about the design. Yeah.
So then what can you do in that situation?
Yeah, because since I also love tradition and also love Victorian, so most of the people like my design. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. That's
Look at
great.
that. Zara, how does it go for you? You know, quick tips for people who just moved in.
I think most importantly, go slow when you move into a new house. So don't just buy sets of everything, you know, like 3-seater, 2-seaters, 1-seater, because then you'll be stuck with it. Mix different types, buy things over time with what you like. Visit a lot of different stores instead of buying a big bulk of things and then not knowing what to do with
Exactly.
them. Make your space as personalized as possible. You know, put up your photograph, old
Your own
photographs on the
sculpture in
wall.
every room. You know?
Why not? Why not? Do accent walls. Maybe have one base color on 3 walls, and then have one color for your photographs, which is a little darker, which gives the room personality.
Well, I have a quick question for myself, though. Well,
Yeah.
well, I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
all
saying.
right. It's all right.
So, when you're moving into a studio apartment, should one be getting stools or beanbags? Since only one person's going to be living there.
But you will have
I guess
visitors.
it's for Bilal, no?
So
No.
Because he was telling me that he's going to move here.
Oh, it's literally for me. But yeah,
no, but you will be having people visiting you.
very less
so
often.
very less often.
Yeah.
So
But-
then go with what you like. If you
yeah,
like
I mean,
beanbags,
you can
then
even hang your
yeah.
chandi banan in there, man. If there's nobody visiting you. What's the point of designing it then?
Okay, but Mr. Fat, I do have it's similar in terms of trends and tips, but very specific. So we're going to talk about colors and the moods of colors. So tell me, if when you're talking about a sitting room, a TV lounge, that is somewhere where the all family sits together for a very long
Only
time.
if there's
in
an
a day.
air conditioner in this season.
Oh, that's so true, though. So
Yeah.
what are the preferable colors for a sitting room?
It's very important to learn about the light first.
Okay.
What kind of light is coming? Is there any natural light coming? How much is it going to be there? अगर बहुत ज़्यादा धूप होती है
जी.
तो वो कितनी देर रहती है?
Okay.
तो वो it all depends on that. And if you want to sit in a natural light or not.
Okay.
So a person like me, I always want to sit in natural light. You know, even early in the morning when I wake up from
Yeah.
a breakfast, I want to have it under the sunlight and right in front of the television. That's how I feel usually. So let's give you different situations so that we actually get some information out
yeah.
too as well. For example, people who love sunlight, people who do not love sunlight. What do you think that they need to do?
With people they like sunlight, it is actually bright colors. वहाँ पे बहुत they really make the house go. It's really warm and वो सारी उसके साथ फिर
But
आपकी
within bright colors, we have to be very choosy and picky too as well, because otherwise the experiment actually can be a disaster.
Yes.
I know.
People are going to be like, यार ये क्या रंग करा ली दीवारों पे?
मोस्टली ऐसे ही होता है क्योंकि यहाँ पे ज़्यादा इंटीरियर्स होते हैं ना वो
Yellow and purple and whatnot. Oh my God.
नहीं कलर्स की बहुत रेंज भी होती है ना, जैसे अगर आप पर्पल कलर लेंगे तो उसकी भी एक अच्छी खासी रेंज होती है
Yes.
और ग्रीन अगर आप लेंगे तो ग्रीन की भी बहुत रेंज होती है जिसको आप यूज़ कर सकते हैं हर जगह पे.
Well, there's something with blue. A lot of people pick blue. I have a 5-bedroom house, and 4 of them are actually blue, different shades of blue. So is that because it makes the room spacious? What is it?
But it's probably like you guys love water a lot.
Probably. No, but what's the science behind it? Why do a lot of people pick blue?
I think it's relatable to sky or daily life or something like that. That वो इसलिए ज़्यादा blue. अगर light blue use करते हैं क्यों तो
Okay, with walls, anybody can play and anybody can have an idea, since you mentioned in the beginning that everybody is a designer. What do you think that we need to do with the roofs of the house? Because they're always blank, or probably big chandeliers or some cheap type of, things pasted onto that as well, which I really do not like. I think people call it false ceiling as well. But how do you, some crazy ideas about roofs. How can we plan a good roof?
Yeah, we can do with the log like old tradition design log.
Okay.
And I don't like the spotlights and all the new design,
You
in
don't?
the shops.
So what are the new designs then?
Pardon?
What are the new designs?
There are logs designed like a bare ceiling, and don't put the ceiling fall. I really hate a fall ceiling, to be honest.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, they all
So
very
do you
nasty.
think that the roof needs to be a bit higher, a bit lower,
I think 10 is okay, 10 or 12 is okay, but above that you cannot put the insulated and we need to insulate the room also
All right.
to make the energy, do not lose the energy.
Okay.
And it needs to be 10 is okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't need to be a lot higher the roof
Yeah.
itself.
Okay,
But-
then let me just move on to Zara. So Zara, over here in Pakistan, I'm sorry that I have to say that, but this is a fact. We have got bigger families, joint family systems.
Why are you sorry? I love big
and even if it's not joint family system, the families are bigger. Indeed. So when you're designing, and I could see that in your pictures too as well. You have got different vases, either on the table, either on the floor.
True.
And with toddlers in the house, it's very difficult to maintain all of these things as well, because they might break them. So then do you ask them when you go see your client that how many kids do you have, and then you plan accordingly?
Yes, an architect or an interior designer has a very close relationship with the client. So in some cases, some architects actually spend time living with the clients before starting the design process. So then you really understand how they work as a family, and you are able to design better that way. Yes.
Okay.
And then do you think that seeking help from an interior designer is actually going to cut your cost?
Absolutely, because an interior designer will give you a lot more options on materials. They would have tried and tested a lot of different things, which if you were doing yourself, you would probably get it wrong. And then you would break things and then end up
Redo
spending
it.
double. So might as well take an interior designer on board and get it right the first time.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
to say it, but a lot of people, including myself, we do have like a sort of belief, it's a sort of a build-up belief, that interior designers are a rip-off, because a person can, well, I'm sorry to say this, but this is what I've heard.
Don't be sorry,
No, but they're a rip-off, and a person, for example, speaking for myself, I can decorate my room better than them, because what do you know about me? So is this a myth, and how are you going to bust this?
No, it's absolutely a myth, because an interior designer is a specialist. He or she is trained to bring things together in a space in a certain way. They would be able to tell you better what sort of colors will affect you, affect your mood in what way, what sort of furniture will be right for that space, what are the sizes that are suitable for your room, for example, for your bedroom, what sort of curtains you should go for. So there are a lot of details
Is
that
there
are
also a
involved.
trend in curtains?
Yes, well, these days,
Women talking to women, it's great.
most of the people are going for blinds. So before, like, windows were sort of not an important element. But nowadays, it's very important to use the window as a frame to the outside, as well as on the inside. So blinds, still curtains, layers of fabric in front of the window. So it really depends on what you prefer.
I used to love that time when palmets were very in as well,
Oh,
and
yes,
everybody
yes.
wanted to have a palmet.
I was thinking
and,
of the word
this and that.
continuously.
Okay, that's fine. But the only reason why Shiza actually came up with the question was that why people think that interior design is a rip-off. And ladies and gentlemen, these are different pieces of work done by interior designers too as well. But other than that, what I wanted to ask was that people over here these days, they do really want to engage an interior designer, but then there are people who can not afford branded furniture, for example, or branded showpieces. So what kind of solutions do you have for them? Do you even have solutions for them?
Yes, if you are not able to afford from a high-end showroom, then you can go
For
to Murray
example, you
Road
just told
and
us that that the furniture we saw in your pictures, I'm
Yes.
sorry that I'm cutting,
Yes.
it was made in Pakistan,
in
made by
Pakistan.
your company too as well.
Yes.
So then do you have alternates?
Yes, we suggest the right team of people. We suggest craftsmen, we suggest skilled persons that can do that job cheaper than buying it from ready-made from a showroom or a shop. So we even suggest places where the client can go and buy things directly. So it's teamwork, and we understand that a lot of people cannot afford to buy very high-end materials, and there are a lot of alternates. The good thing about our market is there are a lot of options. So it's good that somebody comes to an interior designer, because then they can open up those options for you.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
that's
moving
just
on
great.
to you, Mr. Shuja, I have to ask you, since you are a painter and artist yourself, a sculptor, but a lot of people want major and huge life-size paintings in their living rooms or other areas. But for people who cannot afford actually designer paintings, what sort of things should they opt for? In terms of, there is also a trend of indoor plants as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of picture, when I say paintings, so a lot of people want to put a waterfall, a picture of water, in their living room. Maybe, I don't know, makes them feel fresh or something. Is there science behind it? Is there anything specific that they should opt for a different mood? Does that change the total mood of the space?
I think this is a question which needs to be asked from Mrs. Shuja too
Okay.
as well. So go ahead, Mr. Phil, please answer.
Of course, these things matter actually, because the clients are the ones who are sitting in the house all the time. They need to relate to some nature or something. So that's why they put these things in the paintings. If they cannot afford a a painting from a known painter, they can always get a print.
They can always write the name of the known painter on that painting and that'll be fine. It works. But one last thing, very quickly, and that is that, over here in Pakistan, we do have houses which look like boxes.
Yeah.
And then there are a few people, if you go towards the rural areas as well, where they're rich, but then they make too many arches too as well, too many corners, misuse of space. So what kind of challenges do you have to face with these two different types of build-ups?
Like
In arches and a lot of corners where there's a lot of
Yeah.
space, misuse as well, and then there's these boxes, rectangles, which is very easy to probably sort them out.
yeah. When you come to Pakistan from the airplane, you can see that there are a lot of boxes, and they look very awful and very horrible. And yeah, they are, yeah.
It's all right.
And,
I mean,
and when you look at Islamabad, it's so beautiful, the mountains
because
and
it's
all.
planned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's planned now, the mountains and the natural beauty. And when you look at the opposite side of it, you can look at the shabby houses and unplanned houses. They look very horrible. I don't think I can.
But what's the solution? It's all right. I mean, how they
Yeah,
look.
yeah,
But
I
what's
know.
the solution to it?
Solution,
Two boxes and a lot of corners.
Yeah, you can put some furniture or window lighting would be fine to improve the boxes and all the triangles.
Great, Ms. Zara.
Well, you can use those corners as separate
For hide and seek.
spaces from the rest of the room, and you can create cozy seating areas, reading areas. You can use them for storage and straighten them out by putting a cupboard in front of it or a shelf in front of it.
That's a great idea.
So there are a lot of options. If you know your dimensions right, then you can give a lot more options with corners. They're not necessarily bad. You can still use them.
And one last thing from Mr. Shuja, and that is that, as a sculptor, what I've seen is that, in Lahore, there was this festival where this gentleman actually used the natural light onto a glass, and then it could, come out in different colors as well. It was a different spectrum overall as well. Do you think that these things can be done with corners where we can play with light? Okay, whoever wants to answer.
Yeah, well,
Because the
that's
piece was actually made by a sculptor too as well, so that's why I was asking from you that can we do anything of that
Yeah,
sort?
of course. There are lots of things that we can do, and
That's a challenge for the designer actually
Huh.
to plan the spaces.
Okay, well,
And it'll
before we wrap up
always
the
be-
show, because we're short on time, so quickly a message or, talk to the people who think or believe that they do not need an interior designer to decorate their home or to, help them with the decoration. Any one of you.
I
here
think
you go.
Zara, go ahead,
Yeah.
please, quickly.
This camera is yours.
Quickly.
A quick message to them.
Well, I would definitely recommend anybody who's building a new house or moving into a house or renovating a house to hire an interior designer, because they would make that space reflect who you are as a person.
Exactly.
And you would appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being with us. It was lovely to have you.
Yes,
And the next
absolutely.
time, whenever you guys are going to come on the show, please make sure that you don't say that this is what's going to happen. We need real ideas. We need the content to be out there as well. But for all those people who are out there, what we can do for you is that we're going to ask them about their pages. We're going to post it on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of
Well, this morning.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning without a G.
on Dailymotion and YouTube.
Well, this morning.
And then we can definitely reply to you whatever question you've
Yes.
asked. And the repeat's going to be at
11:05 in the night.
till the next time. 1, 2, 3. Good
morning.
morning. Thank you.